So I'm going to talk about this concept that is perhaps very new or innovative, that is internet jurisdiction, justice of digital law, and arbitration in the age of Bitcoin. It's something that I've been working for the last 6 or 7 years. And I know that it's very new and sometimes it's very complex to explain and to understand, but I'm going to try. So my name is Ignacio Ferrer-Bonsoms. I am based in Spain. I am a lawyer. This is my email, ignacio.axosity.com. Sorry, I don't know if someone else is trying to enter. Okay. I'm going to try to explain these ideas, okay? So, because it's difficult, I'm going to try to explain three points. That is internet a jurisdiction? Are there digital laws on the internet? Because every jurisdiction has law or regulation. And the third point is how or what should digital justice look like in the jurisdiction of the internet? How we can do this on this new jurisdiction. This is a book that I recently published, where I study Bitcoin as a digital law. So it's a new way of ruling, not Bitcoin, but all the cryptocurrencies. And some of the ideas that I explained today are in this book. So for me, the Bitcoin is an interesting proposal from the monetary perspective. I will explain later, like digital gold. But for me, the main thing is how on earth we can regulate a new way of money without government, states, or legal institutions. So for me, that's the key question. And what are the consequences of having a new way of regulation? So more or less, those are the ideas that I have in the book. So the first idea or question is internet a real jurisdiction? So a jurisdiction means that there is a society. So if there are two or more people, we have a society. And with two or more people, we have law. That's clear. And having law, we have rules. Sorry for this. So we have, okay, I'm going to put it this way. So we have different kinds of jurisdictions. We have a physical jurisdiction that is very primitive. So it's the law of the strongest. And there is one movie that is interesting, that is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where Clint Eastwood says there are two kinds of people in the world, my friend. Those who with a rope around the neck, and the people who have the job of doing the cutting. So the point is that in this physical jurisdiction is very basic. So the one who has the power is the one who direct everything. So for me, it's clear. We know that it exists. Sometimes we don't understand that it exists, but we can see that, for instance, at schools, where we know that the legal jurisdiction are teachers or the direction of a school, but there is also another jurisdiction that can be physical. So someone can push you, or another student can be like the boss when there is no legal jurisdiction. It exists. So we have also legal jurisdictions that are, for us, are very easy to understand, because in general they are recognized by everybody. We have states, councils, so this is clear. We have private jurisdictions and public jurisdictions. Private jurisdictions are, for instance, church can be a private jurisdiction, or the organization of sports like football or soccer. And they can be also some problems between private jurisdiction and public and legal jurisdictions. It happens in Spain, for instance, in 2008, because I don't know what happened with the government. They try to change some parts of the organization of the sport here in Spain, and the central FIFA, in this case was UEFA, they say something to the government that if you do that, Spain won't be able to take part on it was the European Cup. And they, of course, the government changed what they were trying to do, and in the end, Spain won that cup. So it was an example of some conflicts between public and private jurisdiction. But the new jurisdiction, that is internet jurisdiction, has one aspect that is really new, that is decentralized. So the digital jurisdiction, internet, is decentralized, and the others are centralized. The government is centralized, physical jurisdiction is centralized, legal, private, and public jurisdiction are centralized. But internet is decentralized. So this is, for me, one of the main aspects of this new jurisdiction, and that's why it's so difficult to understand some of the proposals we have in this new jurisdiction, and that's why so many times many people sustain that Bitcoin is not supported by anybody or by anyone, because we have this concept of centralized jurisdiction. The central bank should support Bitcoin. We are talking about new world, new era, and of course Bitcoin is supported by miners, nodes. And right now, for instance, the hash rate, Bitcoin hash rate of miners is on its highest level. So it clears that it's really supported in a decentralized way. That's the thing we have to understand. So how this jurisdiction works, as I said before, is decentralized or distributed. The relations are peer-to-peer. That is something that is also new, because it's decentralized, the relationship is peer-to-peer, and there is freedom or regulatory autonomy. So decentralized or distributed, this is more or less similar, but it's not. It's just a different concept, because blockchain is decentralized, but not all the distributed layer technology, DLT, are decentralized. Okay, so on the internet jurisdiction, we have Bitcoin that is decentralized, or we have Ripple that is centralized but is distributed. But it could be decentralized or distributed. So I mean this because sometimes there are some what I call digital laws that they are distributed, but they are not decentralized. Okay, and there is one new coin that is very interesting, a new digital law, that is the Genius Act, the stable coin of the government of the United States. And in this case, it's going to be centralized, like Tether. Tether is a centralized coin, dollar coin. And in this case, Genius Act, the stable coin, is going to be centralized, but working on the internet jurisdiction. That, for me, it's very interesting. Okay, the relations are peer-to-peer. It means that with the example I said before, Tether is a company, and the government of the United States is not a company. But in this jurisdiction, they are equal. I am free to choose Tether, or I am free to choose Genius Act. No one can right now oblige me to choose one or the other. So in this jurisdiction, it's free. Perhaps this is something that happened. Someone can say, okay, if you want to, in my territory, this can happen. You should use, or you must use only our stable coin. You cannot use others. That is possible. But right now, okay, that's the door to the jurisdiction. Okay, if you want to enter, perhaps they can put you some burdens. But when you are purely on the internet jurisdiction, the relationship is free and peer-to-peer. And the regulatory autonomy means that you can choose, you can create, anyone can create their own digital law or project, and you can choose which law are you going to be submitted to. So you can say, I don't like Bitcoin, but I prefer Litecoin. Or my project is going to be launched in Solana, not in Ethereum, for instance. You have freedom. And that's a new concept that is legal liberalism. You can choose law. So there is economic liberalism, but this concept is new in the internet jurisdiction. Law is free. That's a very profound and deep concept. Oh, sorry. Okay, the next idea when I talk about this concept of the internet jurisdiction, many people say or thinks that this is not real. This is just like a metaverse or like a cloud. So there is no connections between the internet, between Bitcoin, for instance, Ethereum, or the real world. In the end, I pay my coffee with in my case, with euros. So that's not real. But although it's true that it's an immature market right now, more and more things you can do with it from the internet jurisdiction. You can pay things with Bitcoin right now or with cryptocurrencies. You can pay with credit cards that are backed by crypto assets. You can buy and sell Bitcoin, and you can choose a jurisdiction. I mean, you can choose, for instance, it's forbidden in China, but you can go to Dubai and you can take profits, Bitcoin profits. So although it's forbidden, the internet jurisdiction still run and work. Okay, so I think that's another very important aspect. But and more projects are appearing on this internet jurisdiction, like Genius Act that I said before, and also real world assets that are tokenized. So this is I think that's the next step, is having a representation of the real world on the internet jurisdiction. But we need more maturity. That's something I'm going to explain later. So, okay, another point is that we have a lot of crypto assets, like 37 million in total, and only 1% in number, not in quality. And they are good projects, and the rest are very speculative or nothing. They are even called shitcoins, many of them. So there is a growth of this ecosystem from 0 to 4 trillion in 16 years. Something that is, I think, is huge. Is still on a small market, but it's growing, and more big hands are entering here. So I think this is going to be unstoppable. This growth rate will continue very high. That's my impression. The market composition is digital gold, that is Bitcoin, is half of the market, 50%. That is more or less 2 trillion. Then we have legislative power, that it means that you can create, with using a blockchain, you can create your own projects. That's Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, or Binance Smart Chain. And those are really important because from Ethereum started in 2015, from Ethereum, there appear a lot of things like ICOs in 2017, DeFi in 2018, NFTs in 2017, but more in 2020, 2021. So a lot of new projects came with this legislative power, that is a decentralized way of creating laws, or digital laws. And then we have stable coins like Tether, that is the digital dollar, and is 5% of the market. And then we have other projects. So in the end, we have two ways of ruling. We have the traditional way that belongs to institutions, private institutions, governments, states, public institutions, and we have a digital way of ruling that is with protocols, with blockchain, and rules that are codified. And in some blockchains, you can execute smart contracts, and you don't need intermediaries. So This is one of the advantages of digital laws. I'm going to explain some other advantages that I found on ruling using digital laws. One that is really interesting is legal certainty, and this is applied mainly to Bitcoin. Why many people are holders of Bitcoin? They say because the Bitcoin rules cannot be changed by a government or by anyone. So you need either 51% of the nodes of miners, they should vote against the rules. And the rules are very clear. In the case of Bitcoin, we will have 21 million Bitcoins, and the last one will be created, or piece of Bitcoin, in 2114. So it's a deflationary money. And also there is a halving. Halving means that if you are a miner and you receive Bitcoins, you will receive half of the price every 4 years. So in the end, miners will try to push the price up. So when I remember when I gave the book Bitcoin Digital Law to a lawyer, Italian lawyer, and he read it, he said, I wouldn't believe that Bitcoin was giving this legal certainty. So, but that's the main thing. The virtue of Bitcoin is not monetary, that it is, but it's mainly legal. So they offer you legal certainty. And okay, that happens also with other cryptocurrencies. Not all of them, but some of them, yes. So as I said before, there is freedom. You can choose your digital law. You can create your own digital law. You choose which digital law you are going to be submitted. There is another concept that is the value is objective because there is a market cap. So we know if we see the market cap that Bitcoin is the most valuable digital law, and the rest of digital laws are there. We don't know in traditional law how to value, for instance, the Spanish Constitution or the Constitution of the United States. There is no value connected with it. But in digital laws, there is. And it's very, very interesting from my point of view. Okay, another advantage is global reach, because there are a lot of frontiers, barriers, and so on. There is a lot of competition, because there isn't, you are free to choose a digital law. The sovereignty is based on community, not on people or citizens. You need to offer something that works. So you need a proposal that is good for everyone, for the community. And that's why you can choose that digital law. So I mentioned this before, in maturity of the ecosystem, connection to the fiscal reality, those are the disadvantages and challenges for the future of this new jurisdiction. Okay, I'm going to explain a little bit this evolution, although I mentioned it before. We have digital gold, that is Bitcoin in 2009. We have legislative power since Ethereum, and we have a lot of projects like this, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana. We have dollar, and we have decentralized finance. What I want to express with this slide is that what is in the traditional world is appearing on the digital world. So we have gold is important in the traditional world, yes. On the internet jurisdiction, we have digital gold, and that's why Bitcoin is important. And if Bitcoin were, imagine that we can change Bitcoin for another proposal. Okay, we can change it, but we need one digital gold. Right now it's Bitcoin. I think there is no competition on this because we need only one, and it's in the head of everyone. So I can choose another, but I know that in this jurisdiction, the community has associated Bitcoin with digital gold. So we have legislative power that is important. We have dollar in the traditional world. Dollar is important. We have digital dollar on the internet jurisdiction, and we have finance. So we will have more things appearing here, and that's why also we will have justice. That's what I'm going to try to explain later. We have traditional justice, but sooner or later we are going to need digital and traditional justice both together. So this is a need, and this is a natural evolution of the ecosystem. There is immaturity in one part because we need justice, and justice means civilization, and means that we can grow as a community. So now, if you are in the if you have a problem with a digital, with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or an ICO or an NFT, and you go to court, it's very difficult to execute. First, there are several problems, but you cannot execute the sentence of the award. So because those are two different way of ruling, as I said before, one is codified and the other is traditional way of ruling. So we need a way of ruling using blockchain and using a traditional way, that is arbitration. So that's the bridge. We need the two worlds together. And I've been working, I'm president of this association, is Blockchain Arbitration and Commerce Society. So it's an international association with a tribunal of arbitration that is also international. So from the traditional perspective, it's legal. And what we try is regulating from the code itself. It means that if you have a problem with a blockchain, you can execute the award within the blockchain. And that's why I consider this is the solution and the right thing to try to make this grow. So we have this automatic enforcement of award, and okay, the proposal of regulating from the code itself. So it means that in the code you can add, when you are in the case of Bitcoin, is we are going to have only 21 million Bitcoins. You can add, in the case of conflict, we can execute the award, we can execute from the code itself. So I am finishing. Okay, this is at the end of one era, the beginning of another. We are witnessing a new jurisdiction, that is the internet. Good digital laws are emerging or creating. The market is expanding. The call of hope and responsibility means that traditional institutions are entering, and that's why this new world is going to succeed, because it started like as a cipher anarchist cypherpunk movement, but that's not, I think it's not going to be the case. The case is that we have a tool that is the internet jurisdiction, and everybody can choose using it. So, well, thank you so much. We have like 6 minutes. I don't know if you want to make any question. And if not,
well, I'll just jump in. So we have a couple of minutes.
Yes.
If you go all the way back to 2000, when the American Bar Association business law section, a few of us were all around and the internet was out there, the notion of global e-commerce needs harmonized rules of law was front and center. And over the course of the next 20 years, you couldn't have more problems with every jurisdiction on the planet trying to regulate it. Now, if you take a look at things, you have an incredible deregulation trend happening because of what's going on, frankly, here in the United States. You've got a lot of, so there's just the idea that rulemaking, the way we did it traditionally, is going to have any impact. It's tough to imagine how that's going to work out. So it becomes a question of adoption. If you have adoption and you have rules within that adoption, that goes to your whole notion of private jurisdiction, because people then are, it's like walking into the church, walking into the wherever, and there's rules, and everybody know it's cultural from the ground up. Seems to me that's the direction that we're heading. And so the blockchain itself starts with an assumption that we're all each of us individually responsible for who we are, what we say, what we do. Isn't that where, and I've always come at this from the standpoint of identity. Unless you have trustworthy identity, then all the rest of this doesn't matter, because how do you figure out, can you trust the person on the other side when you're in an environment where people are pseudonymous or anonymous or however you want to look at it. But your notion of using arbitration, I've been similar idea, except I've been using mediation as a vehicle to, as somebody comes in and establishes an identity in a trusted online community, it's you walk into the mediator almost like in a civil notary kind of setting, and you show the documents that you're trying to work with, but you're sort of trying to link the two, a traditional jurisdiction, at least for one element of it, the trustworthiness of it. So then you have a community that you're building, that the only people who are in it have met a certain entry point. And then you can start building rules. And then and the ones we're working with are creators, because it's digital assets. So you can sort of keep it away from the real world if it's functioning in the digital world. But then it crosses over, because that's just the way the world works. So I'm definitely appreciative of the work that you've done, because a lot of you've sort of laid out, sort of this tension between the old world and the new world. And the old world's dying. I mean, the states and the institutions are having real trouble. So it's the young generation, I think, that's going to make a big difference.
Yes, and look, I would like to comment some things. First of all, you are in the United States, and you say that let's see how the new regulation works out. Here in Europe, we have MiCA, that is marketing crypto assets, and it's very hard. So many companies are leaving Europe, and they are going to other places like the United States. Because the way of making this new law is self-regulation, because that's the essence of this new way of ruling. So of course we need to regulate, but for me the best way of regulating is arbitration that is binding. And so imagine that you launch a project, and in the code you put some requirements, and if you don't comply with them, you can be executed by an arbitrator. So it is codified. So you cannot cheat, because blockchain is a better way of ruling. But what is the problem? That if you use blockchain for the government, it can be the worst way of ruling. For instance, CBDCs can be horrible. Okay, because they can control everything you are doing with your money, because it's in a blockchain. So you have an absolute control of everything. So that's why the proposal of Donald Trump of doing this Genius Act and the stablecoin in the internet jurisdiction is very interesting in this context. In Europe, we are in another position. But in the end, this new way of ruling is self-regulation, and as you said before, this is self-responsibility. That's the main difference, and that's also one difficulty, because also many companies in this new crypto world, they don't want any kind of control. They want just to speculate. They are not serious. Okay, so that's a problem. But at least we have to try.
Well, agreed with that. It's coming, whether we want it or not. It's coming.
It's coming, yes. So I think we have to.
I'd love to read your book. We've done a lot of work in this field. We've written books on this, but we're now at a point where how we make the rules matters, but it starts with each one of us, and we need to have enough of us in the community so that it matters, because that's how adoption works. I mean, it's no different than eBay getting adopted or Amazon getting adopted. I mean, from when eBay was in the backyard in Medford, Massachusetts, when I was, a long time ago. It was a yard sale. Now look at it. And the fellow who invented the people invented the resolution center for eBay. You're talking 1999, 2000, 2001. But it got to the point where for the next 8 years, it was, we've resolved 60 million disputes a year online,
yes.
right? You know, so there's your adoption. That's a model. We have to, and blockchain's different than all that, because that was centralized, and blockchain is, you know, you make it, that's why I think really concentrating on a younger generation. And that's what we're doing here in Texas. I'm working with, you know, high school and
Yes.
elementary kids, but we're meeting them the old way. We're meeting them, like you said, in the real world. So come here, and you can work on this project and create animation, and we're going to pay you in dollars, right? Oh, by the way, we're going to help you get a digital identity and a digital portfolio, but that's for free, okay? And then you can, and oh, by the way, you can use it to get more business, but we'll have business for you the old way. So then it becomes a choice, you know, and, you know, and if you have young people connecting around the world like we're doing right now, then it gets very easy for somebody from Texas to work with somebody from Spain, because they know each other, right? But now you have what you're talking about, which is what happens if they need to resolve an issue. And there's no justice system that's going to work unless we create it ourselves.
That's it.
And that's what you're doing. So I'm hats off.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for your interest. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. And I hope we can see you sooner or later. Bye.